this is Nick from Breaker Press Games, and this is the Breaker Bulletin for October 22nd, 2023. All right, before we get into what's going on, first and foremost, I want to thank everyone that backed the Stennard Courier Volume 2 Kickstarter. It was my fourth most successful Kickstarter campaign, and I've done like 15. So that is a huge success. I cannot thank enough Ricardo Gaspar, who did these fantastic portraits, actually all of those except for one, which was an older one done by Jamie Jordan. Really helped sell the Kickstarter, and I'm going to talk about portraits more later on in this video. But between him and then Carlos Castillo knocking out the cover, and I already had cartography done, so most of the art needs for the Stennard Courier Volume 2 are already done, which means that this project is going to come together very quickly. So I am incredibly grateful to all of you. There were so many people that were previous backers of old Kickstarters. There were a bunch of new people. There were like 20 some odd people that went all in for the Stennard introductory offer, and so yeah, I can't thank you all enough. Speaking of thank yous, let's talk about Gamehole Con. I want to thank everyone that played in every one of my games at Gamehole Con this past weekend. I love getting to meet, fans and friends and make new fans and friends. Across 4 games, I had 29 players. Only one of those players was a player that played in 2 sessions. That was Chris Zank. Thank you. And I got to play with a bunch of my patrons and former supporters. I got to play with Chris, Justice, Jim. So thank you guys for coming back to the table and being super excited to play with me again. But also thank you to all the new people that I got to meet. And there were people that asked me to sign stuff, and yeah, it was a fantastic time. And of course I got to hang out with fellow creators that I love, and got introduced to Kelsey Dion from Shadow Dark for the first time, and it was a great con. Oh, and I met Joseph Goodman for the first time. We talked on Zoom, emailed many times, but it was my first time meeting Joseph Goodman in person, and so that was fantastic. Let's move on. Let's talk about stuff going on with Breaker Press. So, at the con, I got to do a couple of things. One was I got to run Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, which is not what this image is from. I got to run Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise again, and got to try out some of the new encounters that I had written, because there are multiple paths that you can take, or I should say 2 primary paths. Yes, you know what I'm trying to say. 2 paths that you can take to get to the Rise, Woodwitch Rise. And my PCs that went through Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, my local group that went through back in August, they took one path, and this group took the other path, and so I got to try out a couple of encounters that hadn't gotten play tested yet, and everything went swimmingly. It was awesome. So yeah, I am always excited when stuff goes awesome. That also leads into, the week before Gamehole Con, I got to do a bunch of progress on 2 projects. I got to do some writing and layout work in Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, because I was trying to have a table copy that I was going to have with me. And also, I knocked out a couple of spells for Sorceress Rites of the Elements. And as you can see on the screen, we've got Shielding Mist, which Carlos Castillo just did art for. Yeah, things are moving along here at Breaker Press. This past week was real slow because I was recovering from the con, but the week before and the week before that were just like constant, thing after thing after thing every day. Some, at least 2 pages of content being knocked out, and some layout work and what have you. And that is the way it should be. Sorceress Rites of the Elements and Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, we're gonna see both of those projects probably done in December and probably shipping at the same time. In fact, Sorceress Rites of the Elements is actually almost done. Carlos Castillo just submitted 2 more pieces of art for my approval, and I just need 1 more spell. I need to finish up the Elementalist class and get a little more playtesting in, and then this thing is ready to go to editing, and we'll be done. And so it'll probably print in November, and then I'll hold it back and ship it with Tragedy and Protectorate if Protectorate takes that long. So let's talk about other things. Yeah, if you've been following the Patreon page, you know that Sorceress Rites of the Elements, I've been posting those spells on a regular basis, and so you've seen that Sorceress Rites is almost done. So Sorceress Rites will definitely be on time. It was listed as shipping in December. It will definitely ship in December. And then Tragedy to Woodwitch Rise is going to be 2 months behind, but we'll also ship in December, so everything's moving along. Patreon rewards. Outlying Farms got delayed because my editor, Alex, was on vacation for a bunch of... He actually traveled for a funeral and then had vacation and also had a really busy October at work, and he is an editor in his day job. And so ultimately, it just meant that no editing was getting done. I did reach out to, I should say, I mentioned to my good friend Trevor that I had was kind of behind on editing, and he reached out to his editor for me, and so maybe we might pull somebody else into the mix to take some of the weight off of Alex. But everything is just... it's moved a little slow because of various things going on in October, but everything is going well. I've exhausted everything that is on my note card, but I do want to talk about, and so, hey, I've got this thing to show. So Outlying Farms just needs to go through editing, and then that will ship to Patreon backers, along with probably something else. I've got a couple of different things that are almost done. So that is what's going on with Patreon. Let's talk about other things. A minute ago, we were talking about GameholeCon, and I didn't have anything written or prepared, but I do want to talk about Midwinter Gaming Convention. Midwinter Gaming Convention happens in mid-January this year. It is going to be in Pewaukee, Wisconsin, which is 20 minutes outside of Milwaukee. I drove past Pewaukee and the Ingleside hotel where it takes place when I was driving back and forth to Madison each day for GameholeCon. And I can tell you, it is 23 minutes outside of Milwaukee by highway. I am going to be running a booth for the first time in years. I haven't run a booth as an RPG designer, but I have as a miniature game designer. I haven't run a booth at a con since before COVID. And so that is going to be exciting. It's been a long time since I did the boothing thing. My buddy Hal will be helping out, and hopefully we'll be able to recruit 1 or 2 more people, because I am going to be running 5 sessions, which is like 20 hours of gameplay across Midwinter. But if you've never been to Midwinter, which you probably haven't, you should check it out. When I first moved to Milwaukee, in the first 2 weeks, because I moved to Milwaukee on December 28th of 2014. 2014? Yeah, 2014. And then on the January of 2015, I went to my first Midwinter just to scout it out, because I do that. I have to scout out cons first before I commit. I did the same thing with GameholeCon. I went as a a viewer for one day to check it out the year before I actually committed to running games at it. But I had scoped out Midwinter, decided to use the demo room the next year to run demos of my miniature game Broken Contract, and then the next year after that, I think it was the next year, two years after that, ran an early version of The Precipice of Corruption at that convention, and met some people that have become lasting friends, like Mike Spriedeman. So, yeah, it is a really cool convention. The OSR type stuff, and new OSR type stuff like DCC, and games like Shadow Dark and what have you are starting to grow at that con, and I want to be on the ground floor of that. So please, if you are looking for a con in January, you're thinking that you're going to be sitting huddled up under a blanket with some tea and a warm puppy, maybe you might want to shake off some of those winter blues by coming out for a couple of days to Midwinter in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. So think about that. That being said, it looks like I have crossed the 10-minute mark, so I am going to wrap this up. There will probably be more updates in 2 weeks, because there is a lot of stuff that is in the early stages of... Oh, I do have one other thing that I want to talk about. I did get something fun in the mail. So this is a little side project that I've had in the wings for a while. As you know, that Protectorate Genuine has the Protectorate deck. And so I got these sample cards for my shadowy NPCs. As you can see, it's got the Standard Courier Volume 1 art on there. It's a shadowy NPCs. And then on the other side is, hey, look at this. This is brand new Ricardo Gaspar portrait art from Standard Courier Volume 2, already in my hands in card form. But I printed up this 32 card deck before I make this a product for release. I've been polling my patrons and asking what people want. And some people want them to be just generic like this, where it's just a picture and a card back. Some people want them to be blank on the back. Some people want them to have stats on the back. I've thought about doing stats for both Standard, or I should say DCC, and also for Shadow Dark, maybe. So yeah, if you've got opinions on something like this, put them in the comments. I am going to be recording a couple more videos this weekend because I've got a lot that I want to talk about. But expect more updates on what's going on with Breaker Press Games early. Instead of waiting all the way till the 20th, expect another update in 2 weeks. Check out this video here or this video here, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. This is Nick from Breaker Press Games.